You're now locked into Zone 32.
Grant Durflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Only on NeutralZoneInfractions.com.
End Zone Infraction.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Zone 32 podcast. Presented to you as always by ourselves and ourselves alone. Follow us on the Twitter at Zone 32 podcast. My name is Jake, his name is Drew, and his name is Grant. What's up, y'all?
What up?
We're back. We're good.
We've even got a hot minute, I'm not going to lie, but it's all right. First 7 weeks of the season have transpired. The Ravens are 5-2. Normally, you feel good about 5-2 record. Like, hey, 5 of your first 7 games with kind of a tough slate in the beginning feels real good. But the last game was a shit show, to be honest. So I'm going to start with Drew. Go ahead and rant about this game for me, please.
I mean, this game was fucking ugly from, was it 13:02 left in the third quarter that we scored, went up 17-13. Everything after that was just an absolute train wreck. We had no business being up 17-13 in the first place. Nobody on defense knows how to tackle. None of our running backs know how to run the ball. Greg Roman has no idea how to call an offense. Wink Martindale doesn't know how to teach people how to tackle. Marlon Humphrey was getting burned up and down the field. That was just an absolute train wreck of a game. The good news is that in 2012, before we went on to win the Super Bowl, we got blown out by Houston in Week 7. That was right before the bye as well. They clearly, came together at some point and ended up winning the Super Bowl. I feel like this team still got a lot of potential, but there are some definite obvious holes. I mean, our offensive line can't block. Defense can't tackle anybody. It's just that was like the worst nightmare of a game that you could watch. It was just not fun to watch. Terrible way to go into the bye, but we're 5-2, so I can't be, all complaints here. Our 2 losses are to the top 2 seeds in the FC, so some good things to take away from the beginning half of the year.
Perspective. I mean, that's true. And Grant, do you have anything to add to that?
I mean, I'm just going to harp on the tackling thing, man. Like Drew said, I mean, it's embarrassing that you're an NFL team. I mean, there are millions of people out there that play the sport, and the fact that you literally just miss tackles on blatant back-to-back plays, 3-4 missed tackles in one play. I get it. It happens, maybe one play every quarter, if maybe 2 plays a game. But it's like, they are professionals too. But at the same time, dude, people weren't even trying. The arm tackles, the laziness, not getting off the ball. It's like they gave up in the third. After that penalty when Villanueva, when they got the ball back, defense just completely shut down. They didn't even try. The Piron touchdown was embarrassing. Nobody even tried to make that tackle. There's 2 clips where Brandon Williams got absolutely bulldozed. And then Anthony Averett walks in and just puts his arms out like 2-hand touch and doesn't even try to make the tackle. And dude just runs right by him. It's embarrassing. I mean, it's a shitty way to go into the bye. You were high. Every time we get high on those 5-1s, people start talking this and that. Baltimore Ravens are the team to beat. They're the new Super Bowl favorite. This and that. Every time it happens, we get fucking embarrassed the next week. Every single time. And it's like, don't buy into it. I mean, it's exciting, being a one. I mean, we're kind of spoiled that we're pissed off at 5-2. But losing that way is just not, it just doesn't sit well. Like, go down swinging. Like, don't quit. That team quit. And I can't tell you the last time that I've seen a Ravens team quit. And they quit.
2019 Week 4. We also quit against the Browns there. I would rather these kind of ugly losses come at this point in the season than, in the playoffs when it matters. But it's still, it's tough to sit there and watch. It's just like Grant said, like, you're a professional athlete, tackle somebody. Like, your job is to literally tackle the guy, and you just have everybody stand there, alligator arms, make no attempt at the ball, just let guys run down the field wide open. I mean, I guess the good news is, too, this is before the trade deadline, so we may have, opportunity to address like running back, offensive line, linebacker. Literally anybody off the street who can tackle would be welcome on the defense for me. So you got a lot of opportunities to improve, and thankfully in the scheme of losses, this wasn't at the worst time. So I can live with it if they, take it as an opportunity to improve.
Well, and I went back and watched the game, and it's like, it keeps sticking out to me, the quote that I heard from Robert Saleh today, where he's like, you're playing a child's game, getting a king's ransom. Like, when they asked him about how he motivates players, like, when players quit like that, like, it's embarrassing to them. Not really the fan base. It's embarrassing to you, and you're embarrassing the jersey that you wear and the name on the back, both name on the front and name on the back. And it's like, you get paid millions. Just try. I don't care if you're down 60-0. Try. Like, that's it. I mean, flat out. Like, and I'm not okay with that. And the way that the secondary played, I'd almost like say, hey man, let's bring Frank Walker, Sharice Wright, and Corey Ivy back. It's bad.
And Tyler Huntley comes in second half there. That was a miserable performance by him. Like,
but
that man overthrows.
He throws the best deep ball in the NFL, though.
Well, yeah, it just doesn't go to where it's supposed to. He throws it 30 yards past his target. It's a great deep ball. It looks great coming out of his hand. It's just nowhere near where it's supposed to be.
Such a pretty incompletion.
Yeah, I don't know. Like great. Like, it's embarrassing, and at home too. Like, it's tough to watch that. It's the Bengals. Lamar has historically owned the Bengals, especially at home, and just no-showed. The whole team just no-showed that second half of that game.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play perfect, but it's also not nearly his fault. He's the only one that actually showed up. Him and Clay.
And the problem is he's holding on to the ball because the line is just falling apart off the snap. Nobody's getting open fast enough. He holds on to the ball, takes some sacks that he shouldn't. For some fucking reason, we decided to keep trying to throw the ball deep instead of letting Lamar kind of move around in the pocket, maybe find somebody open 10 yards down the field. Instead, we're dialing up these 9 routes to Hollywood where then he's in triple coverage. It's like, the whole thing was just broken from start to finish. It was just not a good show.
More. I mean, he's so into this thing now where he wants to be a passer, which he's a great passer. He's one of the best passers in the NFL. But his strength are his ability to extend plays and gain yards when we need it. There's so many times yesterday where there's a lane, but he's staying in the pocket to try to make the pass. Get that 6-7 yards. Get that 12-13 yards. We'll worry about the pass the next play. But holding on too long, taking 7-8 yard sacks, 5-6 sacks a game, that you can't do it.
And see, I don't know if that's on him or if that's on Roman, though. Like, if Lamar's coming into the play knowing that he's going to have 2 guys running in deep post and somebody running a streak down the sideline, and he's waiting for that to develop, like, is he supposed to sit there and go through his progressions and wait for his guy to get open, or is he supposed to take off and run?
Yeah,
I mean, he was our only.
I'm telling him to run.
Yeah, I want him to run too, but I also understand that like he's sticking to the play call, and that's kind of half the problem is that you got a moron calling plays for us.
Yeah,
and they keep the handcuffs on him and don't really let him call plays at the line. So that's
I've said 100 times before with the receivers that we have and Lamar's abilities. There is no reason that we should not have a crossing route on every single play as a last resort. That's his check down is the backside crossing route. Every single play. It's unstoppable. I mean, the Chiefs do it. I mean, the Bills do it. Like, all the top passing teams do it. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to cover a guy all the way across the field. There's soft spots in zones. And if they're in man, good luck. But
especially when you got a guy like Hollywood, too.
Yeah. I mean, and I know we all talked about too, the route concepts. I mean, they are elementary as shit. And there's so many times where, I see 2 and 3 receivers in a 10-yard radius. And it's like, where are you moving? What are you trying to get the defense to do? Every time you run an offensive play, you're trying to manipulate the defense. And you're trying to predict what they're doing. And it's a chess match. Everybody knows that. But what are you doing to where you draw something up and think that's a good play?
Just because you line up in bunch doesn't mean you have to run your routes in bunch too. You can kind of spread out from one another. It's okay. It's allowed. Greg Roman doesn't seem to grasp that, but that is allowed. It's legal. They're not going to get hit with like an illegal shift or something like that.
3 curls all at the strong side of the line. All 3 receivers bunched together. They all run the same curl route.
Yeah, and that happens far too often. I mean, like Grant said, Lamar throws an incomplete pass, and there's 4 guys that it could have been intended for, which is just, shouldn't happen.
Even sideline routes. It's like, how'd you even get 2 other guys over there? What routes did you run for an outside comeback route, and you got 3 guys there in the same jersey, 15 yards down the field? Like, what was your concept?
Yeah, it's you have some guy running a corner route, somebody running an outside comeback, and they both end up, 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage on the sideline. It's like, somebody's got to be 20 and somebody's got to be 10.
Same concept, like same spot on the field. I mean, that's the same window you're going to with both routes. You're trying to manipulate that outside deep third. So, like, that's what you're trying to set up. But running the same thing on 2, you ain't doing it, bud.
Yeah, it's just, and then, no running game at all. Le'Veon Bell looks like he's 117 years old, like running, slow as shit. Devontae Freeman is okay. He was our best runner on Sunday, but he's still, this is not prime Devontae Freeman anymore. This is, a shell of himself. And Tyson Williams looked lost every time he's on the field. No idea how to pass block. No idea how to, run routes. No idea how to, run for first downs. And like we were talking about earlier, that 4th and 15 was embarrassing. Like, just kind of stands there in the flats. There's nobody within 5 yards of him when he catches that ball and to somehow get, jammed up on the sideline, and then you kind of sneak out for an extra 5 yards and you still can't get it across the sticks there. That's just unacceptable. And I totally understand why he's been made inactive now.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, cute little numbers I saw circulating on the internet the other day after this loss. Apparently, the before-bye blues are real with John Harbaugh, and the after-bye wins are also real in that before the bye week, apparently John Harbaugh is 5-10 in his career. Before the week before the bye week. The week after, 12-3. Maybe it will be a little more celebratory after the Vikings game, but we'll see. That's potent offense we're going to have to deal with. In spite of Kirk Cousins, who I've stood up for because he's not shit, but he's not good. That's essentially that's essentially why I stick up for him, just because like, hey, he's one of those dudes who are like, hey, I'm not that bad, and then all of a sudden you're like,
definition of average.
Exactly.
If you looked up average NFL quarterback in the dictionary, that would be his picture right there.
The updated one, because before that was Andy Dalton, so then they have to revise the edition, then it's Kirk Cousins. Like, okay, what do you have around you? Oh, you got a nice little team here. He might be a little better than we thought.
He's going to throw for 400 too if our defense plays like they did yesterday.
Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen,
KJ Osborne's been balling too.
As Dalvin Cook in the backfield. Half tempted to chase a wild hair up my ass and start Tyler Conklin whenever we play them. In fantasy,
Dalvin Cook is going to eat Patrick Queen alive.
Yes.
Coming out of the backfield, that is going to be. That just clicked with me. That is going to be ugly. That is not going to be
130.
Yeah, he might go through 130 through the air and 100 on the ground. I mean, he might have a career day. Like that is very scary to think about. But
you always start a tight end. Whoever the tight end is, you always start him against the Ravens. All my DraftKings, all my fantasies, I'll stream tight ends. And I'll pick up whoever's playing the Ravens. I'm pretty sure, I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure they've given up a touchdown to a tight end in every single game this year. Kelsey got one, Waller got one, Jared Cook got one.
Did Hawkinson end up scoring against us? I know he had a pretty shitty game.
He might have Swifted and Jamal Williams did.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
Hawkinson did score.
No, he didn't.
He might have gotten. I know he got like 30 yards total.
Yeah, from what I remember, DeAndre Swift was eating us up in the second half, and then Jamal Williams had that one tutty to give him the lead, even though his shin was down. But that's neither here nor there. We won the game off the greatest field goal ever made. So hey, what can you do?
I feel like Hawkinson might have gotten a first half touchdown, but it was like a 2-yard out route, so it was one of those.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
He did not have a good game, but that was when we were putting Jimmy Smith on tight ends, which is exactly what he should be doing. If you're trusting Patrick Queen in coverage, like it's just not going to work.
Call that a bad.
I mean, he might stay with the guy, but he's not going to tackle him after he catches it. So.
Oh no, he didn't. Jake's right.
No.
He was one of the. Let's see, out of the 7 tight ends we've played against this year, 6 of them have gone for touchdowns because it was. Let's see, week 1 is Darren Waller got in late. Travis Kelce, who nobody could tackle, he was the big kid on the playground running over all the little kids, which are the Ravens' defense. Even though they lost, that doesn't matter though. Then Noah Fant, who scored the only touchdown for the Broncos that day. Mo Alley Cox, fucking Jared Cook, who I started in fantasy because Gronkowski was hurt, still hurt, but whatever. And then this week with CJ Uzomah.
Made him look like prime Rob Gronkowski.
Dude, he really did. Spread by himself down the field. Oh yeah, don't tackle me. It's all good. Who was the one that whipped on that tackle for the second touchdown? Because 4 people dropped to the flat. Was it Chuck?
Chuck whiffed.
I think it was Marlon, Chuck, and Deshaun Elliott. I think all 3 of them whiffed on tackles. And then Justin Houston was chasing him down the field. But, again, Justin Houston is not a coverage linebacker, so I wouldn't expect him to be there to make that play.
Oh, no, that was the chase play when Justin Houston was chasing him.
Yeah,
you might be
three
right.
tackles all the same.
Because that's why I was like, why is he so far down the field?
Yeah.
He runs through three defenders all at the same time. Nope, I'm gone. Which,
Yeah.
good news for me in fantasy because starting Jamar Chase and CJ Uzama, I was sitting there like, ah, all right, whatever. It helps my fantasy team. So it's like that gif of Alonzo Mourning with the Heat when the Bulls are beating the hell out of him. He's sitting like, hey,
I mean, you might as well get something out of an embarrassing loss like that. So,
yep, precisely.
You got to always look for the silver linings on those kind of games.
That you do, and you don't have to watch that damn Bradley Cooper movie to get it either. So there you go. But anyway, so there's that. The bye week now. Defense doesn't look good. That's what it is.
The good news for the secondary is at least I don't think Marlon will ever have a game that bad again.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable calling that a fluke. I mean, he has not been all pro Marlon this year, but he has not been near that bad.
Exactly.
Averett's been money this year. He had a terrible game against the Colts, but other than that, he's been very good. If Elliott's healthy and Clark pulls his head out of his ass, I'm comfortable with our secondary. Pass rushing wise, Wolf coming back should help. I think you got to do anything you can to get OA free because he's really the only guy that seems to be capable of tackling the quarterback when he hits him in the backfield. Houston has been just looks like an old man.
Possibilities at red and stunts with Derek Wolf and then Owe coming up through the middle.
Justin Houston's been winning off the line, but he's the half step short every time.
Yeah, you can tell he's old. Like you can just tell he's lost a step and he's just not the same player that he was, which is fine. I don't think anybody expected him to come in and put up double-digit sacks this year.
No,
I mean,
no, not at all. He's not that dude in 2015 who wound up with 22 sacks. But
yeah,
we paid him $4 million. Actually, we paid him $2 million with incentives that could pay him $4 million.
Yeah.
We paid him not expecting him to be the Justin Houston of old. So I mean,
he's been really good for Owe though.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's been a very solid signing at the end late. So I mean, there's that. Offense, it's Lamar Jackson and everybody else. That man's playing like Jesus Christ right now. Everyone wanted to anoint Patrick Mahomes as the savior, the second coming of Christ, and everything. It's Lamar Jackson because that man is the miracle worker. That man is all three of your running backs go down. Your left tackle plays a game, then he gets put on IR because his ankle wasn't right.
All pro left tackle.
So you have to kick over your guy who you signed in the offseason to play right tackle, have to kick him over to the left side to fill in. Your day one left guard goes on IR. Then he comes back to be your swing tackle and your backup, so that your backup right tackle suffers a high ankle sprain now. He's out for the next month and a half. So you have the guy who was your day one left guard playing right tackle, your reserve, like your second, maybe third string left guard playing left guard right now. Your only two healthy linemen this year have been Bozeman and Zeitler. Like, Godspeed.
And even Zeitler has not been as good as I expected. There's a lot of plays where he's just kind of standing there, not blocking anybody, just kind of looking lost every once in a while, which has been disappointing. He's been good in the run game, but the pass blocking is not there. Bozeman has definitely been kind of the underrated offensive MVP.
Yeah.
If Lamar is the obvious choice, but if you're going to go with who's your second best offensive producer, I would have to say it has to be Bozeman.
Yeah, no, that's very fair because he's been a stalwart. He started every game. I know he left in the middle of the Chargers game, and then Colon Castillo had to come in for him. But, I mean, he came back the very next week with a bad back.
I think they took him out of that game completely because we were winning. What were we up like 24-6 at that point when he went down?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think that they just kind of took him out. We're like, there's no point in you going back in. Like it's already a blowout. So.
Exactly. Don't want to risk further injury. Absolutely. But I mean, if anyone can make chicken salad out of chicken shit right now, it is Lamar Jackson because balling. Not bad for a running back. Has the same amount of yards as Joe Burrow, and they're arguing on ESPN. Who would you rather have, Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson? This is why you don't watch ESPN.
Stephen A. just goes the opposite direction of what the popular opinion is. Everybody this year has kind of eaten shit and realized that Lamar is like way better than they've been talking about in the last couple of years. And so Stephen A. is like, oh, now this is my shot to slander Lamar because everybody's on the Lamar bandwagon.
Yep, and not to mention he never provides any sound reasoning just at all. Just I want to see you do the playoff. Can you get it done then? Can you do this? Can you do that? I don't know. Like all he's doing is giving you cop out answers, so there's nothing you can really do to argue against that. That's all you're doing is ifs and buts and candies and nuts with his kind of arguments. So it's like get the fuck out of here, all that.
Yeah, but those dudes on those shows know nothing about the game.
Yeah, they really
They are
don't.
just highlight watchers. They don't know how to break down a game or anything like that. They just talk out their ass.
And they know what riles people up because, if you want to talk about Lamar, you got to talk about he might get hurt because he runs the ball, and that's going to piss people off. And you might have to talk about he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, which, again, I'd love to see him win more than one playoff game this year. I think he's more than capable of it. I think that he's lost 3 playoff games in very weird fashions that, a lot of things went wrong in those games. And, I would like to see them, the Ravens as a team put together a complete playoff run. Obviously, I think he's more than capable of carrying them to a Super Bowl, but, until he does it, you can't give him credit for doing it. That's fine. But to, discredit what he does and then you sit there and talk about how Matthew Stafford's the MVP when he's never won a playoff game in his career is wild to me.
Yeah.
Not to mention his winning percentage against teams with good records. Both he and Kirk Cousins at the top of the list with a, 10% win percentage against teams with a winning record, if I remember right.
And again, Matthew Stafford was stuck with the Lions. It's fine. You can make that whole argument. But again, he's gotten there. He's been in that situation, and he has never, won those games. So you can't really just write that off. And he's been, we've been in the league for, 10, 12 years at this point.
Yeah, 12 years. He got drafted.
Yes, I mean, it's not like he's a rookie. I mean, Lamar is in his 3rd full year of starting. So if we want to talk about, somebody who's had a small sample size versus somebody who's had a big one, you can't hold that against Lamar at this point.
Not to mention he's younger than the second year quarterback you're trying to tout. What are we doing here? That dude's the sky is the limit for him, and the fact that he's just getting better and better and becoming that pocket passer that people thought he was going to be, that dude is special. Plain and simple. It's he can run, he can break your ankles, but again, you go back to the Denver game, he can pick you apart from the pocket. Give him some time. Yeah, he could sling it with the best of them. The problem is with him, his only issue is the same issue every quarterback has. You get pressure up. If you get pressure up the gut, and your outside D ends are playing contain, that's really it. Because then you're getting after him. I mean, shit. He was pressured on 45% of his dropbacks last week. That's not good. That's
no, that's not winning football.
No, not at all. You can't have your quarterback on their back trying to lead you to victory. I mean, that's just what it is.
And I do think Lamar falls victim to kind of, he has to be the hero. And sometimes he holds on to the ball too long. Sometimes he tries to make too much out of nothing. He'll wait for that deep route to develop and try to throw it deep to Hollywood instead of maybe taking the 5 or 6 yard scramble in front of him. But I feel like, I can't really hold that against him. Again, it's basically Lamar against 11 defenders at this point. He has really no help out there.
Yeah, without question. So, I mean...
Especially since our entire offense is based off a run game, and we don't have a run game.
Yeah, not even close. You can go back to the box score and everything from this past game. The other 2 running backs, the second leading rusher on the team is Devontae Freeman. He had 4 carries for 13 yards.
Yeah, there was a point where there was a point where it was Lamar had 86 yards rushing. The rest of the team had 0. So
yes, precisely. I was he's literally having to do everything. He has to be the leading rusher, and he has to be the leading passer, and he has to be a fucking Pro Bowl, All-Pro kind of passer just to will this team to victory. And he's done that. He's done that this year. That's the insane thing about it. Gets down 3 scores against the Colts. I'm thinking, this game's. Then all of a sudden he goes off 3rd and 4th quarter and just leads them to victory. Game against the Chiefs. That dude is ridiculous. Plain and simple.
And, for his receivers to come down with open catches, he's got to put it right in their hands for them to, even maybe consider pulling it in.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Hollywood, the drops are still a problem with him. Watkins is, you kind of signed him knowing the health was going to be an issue. And that has unfortunately shown up that he's, not playing right now. Andrews has been very hit or miss this year. I think Andrews is being asked to do more blocking this year, and I hope Boyle coming back, hopefully after the bye, is going to fix that.
Yeah,
Give him more freedom to run routes. And, you just got Bateman back. I'm hoping that Lamar has some pressure taken off of him in the second half here. I hope the defense kind of steps up and he's not forced to be Superman for 17 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, even like going back to the running game thing, I mean, even yesterday, offensive line got their ass kicked flat out. But when our running backs are taking the handoffs, they're not even hitting holes. Their vision looks just I don't know what their decisions are. Like they're not hitting anything hard. They're trying to bounce everything out. There will be a cutback lane and they don't take it, and it's like what are you looking at? And I don't know if maybe it's just like I mean they're all past their prime. Let's be real. But the fact that the offensive line getting ass kicked and then the running backs don't know how to hit holes, I mean it's just a bad combination right now.
I mean, shit, all the running backs on our roster outside of Tyson Williams are my age.
Yeah, they're just they're not. Le'Veon Bell is not the same Le'Veon Bell. And if you're relying on him to be a feature back like that, that's a problem. Devontae Freeman 4 for 13 is a good stat line for him because he should be your third running back. He should be the guy that's getting a couple carries here and there to spell an actual running back.
Which is crazy because
Latavius Murray
4 years ago, Le'Veon Bell was the best running back in the NFL, and it's like he's not like you'd think that even if he fell off, he'd still be a top half running back. And man, he just.
Well, I think it's, he sat out for that year because he had the contract dispute with the Steelers. And then he went to the Jets, and, nobody's good on the Jets. And then he went to the Chiefs and, was not the feature back there. And I feel like he just has no confidence. And he looks small, too, which is, bizarre to me. Like, he looks very skinny.
Yeah, he does.
And I feel like he's just not in the right kind of football shape. Again, he wasn't on a roster until, what did we sign him, like a week before, week before the season started?
Yeah, it was at least a few days after.
Bateman's bigger than he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I think we signed Le'Veon Bell a few days after Gus went down with the ACL tear, if I remember right. He went Devontae Freeman and then Latavius Murray like that Friday before the Monday night game against the Raiders. So I mean, yeah.
Well, and at least Murray had played in the preseason. He's clearly been our best running back this year, and he's not been great, but he's at least if there's 4 yards in front of him to get, he's going to go get all 4 of those yards. He's going to hit the right hole and just, do what he's supposed to. He's not going to give you any kind of explosive, plays like a J.K. Dobbins would, but he at least gets the job done.
Exactly. He's not Gus Edwards, but he's a banger at least. So there's that.
Yeah, he fits. And he's running well.
Most definitely. So just to look forward this week, not this week, but next week, play the Minnesota Vikings. I'll start with Grant. Grant, what are you looking for from this team? Because, I mean, I would ask what you're looking for from the defense, but can't really expect them to do much with that. I mean, with the receiving core they have, with the injuries we've suffered in the secondary, which now just abounds to Marcus Peters. So it's strange seeing the precipitous drop-off that the back end that they spent so much money on has had. But I'll ask it. What do you expect to see come week 9? 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against the Vikings.
Hopefully a sense of accountability. Hopefully there's some serious soul searching going on in that, in those defensive meeting rooms, especially the secondary meeting room. I mean, we're historically bad right now in the secondary. And when going up against a team like the Vikings, yeah, they might not be a great team, but they're a good team and they can put it on you. We've given up 300-400 yard passing games this year already and fully capable of giving up another one there. So, there's a lot that needs to go down, and it needs to come from the leadership. The coaches need to kind of step back a little bit. Calais Campbell needs to get in somebody's face. Marlon needs to get in somebody's face, maybe in the mirror, I don't know, but in somebody's face. But I mean, he like Drew said earlier, now it's just a fluke game for him. He doesn't have games like that, so it is what it is. He's not going to do worse than that. Period. And they need to fix it. I mean, it's just plain and simple. You got Nick Boyle coming back potentially, Derek Wolfe coming back potentially, Westry coming back potentially, and Sammy coming back potentially at the minimum. So if all 4 of them come back, getting another week of practice under their belt, I think it could be really helpful. I think that, getting embarrassed like that in front of your home fans, right after the national media hypes you up, a division rival, didn't just beat us; they put it absolutely on us. And the quit in that team was something that I've never seen before. And I hope they do fix it, and I think they will. There's too good of coaches in there. Harbaugh is a great leader as a coach. It's too good of a locker room to let that happen, and for anybody to be okay with that. I think we come out. I mean, we could run 4 straight. We talked about a little bit earlier, but one game at a time, and they need to do something, because if we come out and lose to the Vikings after that embarrassment that we saw yesterday, it's going to be a long second half of the season, because it doesn't get easier.
No doubt. And to echo that point, the real teeth of the schedule really sinks in right around November, December, week 12 and 13. I mean, week 12, we play the Cleveland Browns on Sunday Night Football, and they're banged up. We'll see if they're healthy. If they're healthy, I think it'll be a closer game. I mean, as of right now, on paper, the way they're looking, that shouldn't be much of an issue. The week after, we play the Steelers at Pittsburgh. The week after, play the Browns at Cleveland. With them coming off a bye after they play this week 12, so if they lose, they get 2 weeks to prepare to correct those issues that they had against us. So thank you, NFL schedule makers. Thank you for that. The week after that, home to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and that high-flying offense, and dealing with Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Then it's a rematch against the Bengals, then at Cincinnati. Then they finish the year at home against the Rams and the Steelers. So, Drew, you heard what Grant said.
What I'm hoping for out of this defense is just more clutch stops. I think that they're going to give up yards. I think they're going to get gashed this year. It just kind of seems like the kind of secondary they have. They're not, missing Marcus Peters. It's a big loss. If they can get off the field on third down and maybe hold guys to 3 instead of 7, give Lamar a chance to keep doing what he does on offense. I like their chances against not only the Vikings, but, the Packers. I think that they win the rematch against the Bengals. I'm hoping that Sunday night game against the Browns is kind of where you end their season. You come out big on Sunday Night Football and just really bury them and make them, totally out of the division running, especially if Baker's hurt and Chubb's still out and Hunt's still out. I think that's kind of your chance to step on their throat. Who knows what you're going to get out of the Steelers? Again, they're always going to play us tough just because it's a division game. But again, there is a lot of opportunity here to, maybe even lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I think that if the defense can just kind of, step up when it counts, when it's, 3rd and 5 and they're on their, own 45-yard line, stop them there, don't blow any tackles, get off the field. If they're in the red zone, hold them to 3 instead of, giving up 7 consistently. I feel like that's kind of where our defense, we need a bend but don't break defense rather than, expecting this to be like the 2000 Ravens defense. I don't think you're going to get that this year. They just really don't have the personnel for that. Too many injuries, too many guys just not playing the way that they should. But if you can get, some clutch stops, some clutch turnovers, I feel like this team's in good enough shape that Lamar can kind of carry you to, 13, 14 wins if everything goes right.
Most definitely. You hit the nail on the head with everything you just said. Hey, you're right. This isn't a stout defense. What you hope for is get timely stops, hold them to 20, not 35. So, that way you're not in a shootout every single week trying to play like the Chargers back in the way back in the day, or the Rams back in the day, or Kansas City now. So, you're absolutely right with what you said. But anywho, that's going to do it for this week's episode. We will be back to discuss further, see if there's anything that happens before the trade deadline. So in the meantime, I'm going to make a noise.
Grant Derflinger, Jake Miller, the infamous Drew.
Zone 32.